Hello, guys and gals, and welcome. Me matey. Don't mind my pirate attire. I've been playing a little Skull and Bones, and before I played Skull and Bones today, I wanted to do a quick video on Diablo 2. Let's call this the State of Diablo 2 Resurrected, and we'll talk about it. So first off, Diablo 2 seems to no longer be receiving any updates from Blizzard. Let's talk about that first. So Blizzard kind of abandoned Diablo 2. But that doesn't mean that Microsoft has abandoned Diablo 2. Microsoft is still moving into the house, so to speak, and Microsoft very well may pick back up the project later on as they start to control more and more of the properties of Blizzard and Activision. Now, they only recently purchased the company, they fired a bunch of people, and then, of course, they're going to be moving in their own staff, so we have no idea what the future holds for Diablo 2, but we do know that Blizzard seems to have abandoned the game, which is, unfortunate. But what we do know is that, well, the game is in the best state that it has ever been, pretty much ever. I can bring up a little doojank here, and we can talk about some of this. So first off, Assassin. The majority of the Assassin was useless in LOD. The fire tree, the like the martial art tree, like pretty much the whole assassin, with the exception of like the lightning traps, was like absolute dog garbage for the most part, unless you wanted to be like a singular kicks in, and so the assassin has been mostly fixed. I will say that there's still a couple little things here or there that could be adjusted, but very nice. The druid also likewise has been fixed considerably from previous patches, from LOD. From LOD, it was kind of a mess. It's actually kind of useful now. Fire Claws has less synergies. The fire tree is actually doable now. The summons actually work. I mean, there's tons of things that it has honestly just really nice. It's a very fun character now compared to before, where it felt like it was just a mess of broken mechanics and things that just didn't quite work very well. The Paladin was never really broken, but they still fixed several things in the Paladin, like for instance the Holy Shock, Holy Fire, Holy Freeze auras. They also did a considerable amount of work on things like Fist of the Heavens and Holy Bolt, which have considerably bumped up those builds within the community, which is really quite fun. They've also fixed next hit delay problems, which have affected both the Assassin, the Druid, and the Paladin in many different ways, which is pretty darn cool. The Sorceress probably got one of the biggest fixes in the game, which was mana burn. The Sorceress has, of course, the Energy Shield, and Energy Shield is a very powerful ability, but was pretty much destroyed by mana burn. And now that mana burn has been mostly fixed, I would say it's 100% fixed. To be honest with you, it still does what it was intended to do. It just doesn't. It's not broken anymore, right? The Sorceress has been fixed completely too. Really, a lot of the lesser abilities that haven't been used, like for instance, Nova got buffed. We also had some pretty nice buffs to Chain Lightning through the next hit delay fixes. There are tons of different things that honestly have just been made very nice for the Sorceress. And on top of that, the Sunder Charms have really made the Sorceress into quite an interesting character, because you can, of course, build more singularly in elements now instead of having to dual spec. The changes to the way that Cold Mastery works in combination with the Cold Sunder still puts the Cold Sorceress as a very powerful character, just not quite as powerful as it was when the Sunder first released, but still extremely powerful character. And honestly, the Sunders just absolutely helped this character overall. The Barbarian. The Barbarian really didn't get a whole lot of fixes or changes, really. I mean, they kind of reworked the way that Whirlwind worked. And honestly, Whirlwind is more effective now. I feel like it's definitely a better skill. They beefed up item find a little bit. I mean, Barbarian really didn't have a whole lot wrong with it. That was kind of the whole thing. I mean, Barbarian doesn't really. Barbarian's main issue is just the fact that it's a melee character, and honestly, I think it was fine to begin with. So it was fine, and it still is fine. And then the minor changes that they made to it are honestly they're nice, but they weren't really necessary or anything. And then finally, what is it? Assassin, Druid, Paladin, Sorceress, and Necromancer. Necromancer got some changes, some things revolving around. Trying to remember like all of the individual little things, but there's been so many changes and so many fixes from like the beginning to what are we at, like version 2.6 now. Necromancer never really needed a whole lot of work though. They did balance a little bit of the Bone Spear, Bone Spirit synergies, which made them a little bit stronger. They kind of balanced out the Bone Armor, Bone Wall, Bone Prison dynamic so that the Bone Armor gets at least better bonuses, or at least the same bonuses that it's getting from the Bone Armor and the Bone Prison, Bone Prison and Bone Wall. But overall, I think the Necromancer was kind of fine beforehand as well, and didn't really need a whole lot of super changes. And that's pretty much what? Well, Assassin, Druid, Paladin, Sorceress, Barbarian, Necromancer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, we're missing one, right? Who are we missing? We're missing the Amazon. And the Amazon has been fixed considerably since the beginning and up to 2.6. The evade, avoid, and dodge have been fixed, which is a massive fix for the character, which enabled finally being able to do melee builds, which were next to impossible to create before because of the avoid, evade, dodge problems. On top of that, they also fixed a lot of the penetrate attack rating issues that came into play, as well as honestly a lot of the attack rating problems that came into play with like strafe, multi-shot, guided arrow, etc., etc. Guided arrow, of course, always hits, but magic arrow is what I was thinking. And it's just also the next hit delay changed a lot for them too because of the way that strafe works. So strafe used to not be able to hit the same target within the same attack like multiple times because of the next hit delay issues. But now you can actually hit like the same monster more than once with like your 10 arrow, your 10 shots. It's not quite all 10, but like it's close. And if you play strafe now versus if you play strafe before the next hit delay fixes, it's a massive change. And then speaking of which, the next hit delay fixes were absolutely massive. A lot of people downplayed this patch. This was a very small patch. It was like one of the last things they did, and the next hit delay fixes were so ridiculous across the board in what they did, changing things like chain lightning and lightning strike, changing things like blade sentinel, changing things like strafe's ability to hit more targets. Just in general across the board made a large swath of abilities like tornado, twister, chain lightning, lightning strike, well, not lightning, chain lightning, even nova and Frost Nova got affected by this change. And next hit delay was honestly, the fixes that they did or across the board were just a huge boon to the game in general. On top of this, we got a lot of new rune words. And the new rune words that we got, honestly, I like pretty much all of them. I'd like to see more rune words, but we got rune words like the new helmet rune words, the bulwark, cure, and likewise. I think some of the other ones are a little lackluster, but bulwark and cure are definitely two standouts that I think a lot of people enjoy. Honestly, plague is absolutely amazing. A lot of people are a little contentious about Mosaic, but I actually like the fact that Mosaic finally allows the martial arts assassin to shine. It's not my particular cup of tea. I don't like the crackhead playstyle, and some of you guys may be laughing at the crackhead playstyle because those of you who's actually played it know exactly what I'm talking about. It's totally a crackhead playstyle. Like you feel like you're constantly like jonesing for that next charge, and if you don't get that next charge, you're gonna kill some. I'm sorry. Yeah, but yeah, I think it's a good addition to the game. I've never really seen Mosaic as a bad addition to the game. It's just not particularly my play style, and I don't really think it's as all powerful as everybody thinks because I played it for an entire season. I know the ins and outs of the ability, and it's not quite as good as people want to claim. However, there's also more uniques. Or more, sorry, not uniques, more rune words than that they've added, and honestly, all the rune words that they've added into the game so far have been very good additions. Some of them have been early additions that are meant to obviously propel your gameplay forward, and some of them have been more late game additions that are supposed to be used for some pretty fun late game stuff like Flickering Flame and Plague Blades and Mosaic, and I mean there's some pretty nice ones honestly that have stood out I think to the community and definitely worked their way into people's hearts. I definitely love the Plague Phase Blade, Plague Phase Blade, or like just it's just a really fun one to put on mercenaries. It's so nice to have that freaking cleansing aura. Oh my god! Once you live life with the cleansing aura, you never want to go back. You don't want to go back to without the cleansing aura. You don't want to do that. On top of this, I mean, not only do we have new rune words, the next hit delay fixes, but they've gone through the process of pretty much just fixing tons of things throughout the game. I mean, the quality of life features that they've added to the game are amazing. The shared stashes that they added are amazing. I really enjoy having a shared stash. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the classic game as well, and I was well in tuned with dropping items on the ground and leaving and coming back and grabbing my stuff before somebody snatched it. But having a shared stash is definitely nice too, and it's been very fun to play with the community when new ladder starts. And I think that right now 2.6 is literally the definitive edition of the game, and we are I believe it's 2.6, right? What version? What version of the game are we on? I think we can. I think we can see the version of the game by booting it up with the exact version. Well, let's open up the Blizzard launcher, and according to this, it's 1.6.77. But that doesn't sound right. I'm pretty sure we were at a newer version than that. I bet you if I type in Diablo news. And we go to the Diablo 4 page, or Diablo 2 page, sorry. Yes, right here. So, Diablo 2 Resurrected 2.6 PTR has ended. That was like the last thing that happened. So it's not 1.6, it's 2.6, or at least that's how they've been stating it. But according to this, it's 1.6.77. Whatever. We also got Terror Zones. Terror Zones are pretty amazing as well. I personally think Terror Zones are a absolutely amazing addition to the game that reuses the same content that we've all known and loved and allows us to explore the game in a way that we otherwise wouldn't, going to areas where we wouldn't farm because they're lower level zones. I think Terror Zones are absolutely amazing. Sunder Charms, I think, are very amazing too. Not only do they not affect the game overall, as you play through, because if you play through on single player, you don't get access to these Thunder Charms, which means you still have to play the game in its original creation. And then once you get access to the Thunder Charms, then you can start building your character in different ways, and it's a very fun way to reward the player for completing the game, because once you've killed Hell Bale, then you now have access to Hell Terror Zones, and you can start getting access to Thunder Charms. And I think Thunder Charms are just absolutely amazing. Now, some of you guys might be fighting me on the 2.6 as the definitive edition of Diablo 2. You're like, no, no, no. 1.09 is the definitive edition of Diablo 2. Well, let me slap you guys in the face with a big old no and tell you that the 1.09 was not the definitive edition of the game because of all the problems with Diablo 2 LOD. However, if you would like to play 1.09, I have a surprise for you. There is actually a version of the game out there of Diablo 2 Resurrected with the fixes, like that, we all know and love, the quality of life features and everything that we actually like, and it will revert the game back to the version of your choice. This is the Nexus Mod Manager Retro for D2R, and it will revert the game to 1.06b, 1.07, 1.08, and 1.09D. So if you are one of those people who really, really loved 1.08 or really, really loved 1.09, and 1.09 was like your favorite patch of all time, well, guess what? You can have your cake and eat it too. You can play Diablo 2 Resurrected and go back to 1.09D. So congratulations. And you can still get some of the fixes. Not all of the fixes, because of course some of these fixes are going to be reverted through the patch changes, but you will get some of the fixes, like, for instance, the quality of life features, the various things that, like we enjoy. I don't know if everything is going to stay, but you'll definitely get at least some of it, along with the 1.09 patch, which is certainly not terrible. as well as the graphical updates as well, which I should probably type here too. The graphical updates. I really enjoy the graphical updates for Diablo 2 Resurrected. I like all of it. Definitely very fun. I'll put a link for this in the description for you guys who want to go back and play around with older versions of Diablo 2, so you can have some fun with that. I mean, honestly, I think that the game is in a very good place at this particular point. They've done a lot of fixing. And if you haven't seen, I do actually have a whole series on fixing Diablo 2 Resurrected, and this is just kind of stuff that's been left behind, the little outliers, not exactly the how would I put it? Not exactly required by any means for a lot of this stuff to be fixed, but in the future, especially Microsoft, if you're watching and you come back and you're interested in seeing what you can do to further Diablo 2 Resurrected into um, a better game even than it is now. Fixing Diablo 2 is a series that you can take a look at, and let me see if I can pull that up for you. So I have quite a few videos on the fixing series so far, and see if I can bring this up so it's more finite here. And as you can see, I've got fixing attack rating, fixing durability, fixing player auras, the prayer aura, sanctuary, defiance, druid spirits, so forth and so on. So far, I have what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 episodes of this. A lot of this stuff, it's not really like super important. It's just little things that definitely could be addressed in the future. And I think when you look at it as a whole, you start to realize that it's really not even all that much. Another thing that we are looking forward to in the future, and let's talk about this for a second as well. So let's go ahead and delete this. And what could we potentially want in the future? Like what do we want for the future of D2R? Well, honestly, I think besides obviously the small things that could potentially be fixed, I think a lot of us are very interested in seeing more content. We would very much so like to see just new places to go, new monsters to kill, perhaps, or maybe even just the same monsters in like a new setting. I'm not really sure exactly how you could potentially do this without completely breaking the game, but it would certainly be fun to have some additional places to play. One idea that I particularly had, if you're listening, Microsoft, it's a multi-million-dollar idea. You could send me a check. This is an idea called Diablo 2 Maker. And basically, what you would do in Diablo 2 Maker is you would use existing assets to create challenges that players could upload to a server, and people could test themselves against these challenges to see if they could succeed. So imagine, if you will, let's create a imaginary challenge. So I'm going to make Uber Mega Trollstrom. Yes, Uber Mega Trollstrom. That's going to be the name of it. And Uber Mega Trollstrom is going to have 10,000 Stygian dolls. And there's and those 10,000 Stygian dolls are going to infinitely respawn. And there is a boss that you have to kill, and the boss that you have to kill is let's find a good boss. Okay, I got it. An elite, beefed up Gloam pack with conviction, extra fast. I'm evil. Conviction, extra fast. Let's see here. Lightning enchanted. And what else do we put on here? We gotta put something else evil. We gotta be really evil. The evilest. The evilest of evils. So evil. How do we make this even more evil? I know, extra strong. Extra strong gives him lots of HP. And then on top of that, he will be immune, of course, to lightning, poison, which, believe it or not, a lot of gloams are immune to poison. So lightning and poison, and then he'll also be immune to not to cold, but to chilling slash freezing slash holy freeze. So he'll be immune to basically any kind of crowd control effects that you could potentially put on him. And you know what? Let's be extra evil here, and let's also throw teleporting on him. And as you can see, this would be a challenge. Now, how would you make sure that these challenges aren't just so ridiculously difficult that no one can complete them? Well, the same way that that Mario Maker does, you have to complete the challenge once yourself. So to be able to upload a challenge, you must complete the challenge yourself. And of course, you can have different goals for the challenge. And the one goal could be, so goal, kill the boss. You could also have another goal of, you know, one. Let's just put them out. So goals. You could do kill the boss goal. You could do another goal like kill all monsters, which is kind of a crappy one, but still a nice one. You could also have a goal where you have to collect the items, so you can have like organs or something like that dropping from specific monsters. You know, you could also have an interesting goal of like, you know, no deaths. Like there could be a no death rule. There could also be a like no merc rule or something along those lines. There could be a lot of different ways that you could customize these, and I think that if done properly, honestly, would be really, really nice. I think a lot of people would enjoy a very effective like Diablo Maker. I would have a lot of fun with Diablo Maker, and it could make a whole new money making pit basically for you, Microsoft, as well as a place that a lot of us would love to have fun with. And the really cool thing about this, of course, is that you would have to custom tailor characters to specifically to the goals, because if you don't custom tailor your character to the specific zone that you're fighting, then of course you're not going to succeed. Like if you're going in here with 10,000 Stygian dolls, you're probably going to want as much physical damage reduction as you can get, as well as a large amount of life, so that you could potentially survive the explosions. On top of this, because of course the boss has conviction and lightning is a lightning monster, you're going to need large amounts of lightning resistance to protect you from him as well. And I think just in general, like there's definitely ways that you could potentially deal with this, despite this being super super evil and trolly. It could be done. It's just a matter of working your way through it, right? Um, Honestly, though, there are definitely a lot more things that you could potentially do for Diablo 2. I don't think a lot of people want to see the game change fundamentally, though, and I think that's very important. There's no fundamental changes to the game. Just add more content. Just add more things for us to do. Add more monsters for us to kill. Just throw in like new levels, new areas. Honestly, I think at this point people would just die for one more quest in Act 4. Maybe even try to come up with an Act 4 mercenary. I think that would be a pretty cool additional way that you could add some things into the game. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts down below. What do you guys think about the state of Diablo 2 at its current point? Do you think Microsoft has any intention of diving into the arena, or are they just going to leave it stagnant? And what ideas would you have for the future of Diablo 2? As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, and as always, keep watching.